Hey Ben, would you buy a DSLR in 2017? Well, that's a good question. So let's sit down and talk about that.
My name is Benjamin Jaworskyj, photographer and adventurer. 10 years ago, I started to teach myself photography. Today, I travel the world as a professional photographer and filmmaker. Learn from my experiences, mistakes and tips and join me on my photography adventures.
I'm photographing now for almost 3 years with a mirrorless camera. I started with the A7R and now I photograph with the A7R II. There's a whole review on this camera, so check it out if you haven't seen already. And I had the chance to have to photograph with a DSLR just a few days ago, and I just recognized how awesome a mirrorless camera is. And so I just want to tell you why I wouldn't buy a DSLR in 2017. So let's start. One of the biggest advantages is the digital viewfinder. It's so amazing what you can do when you have the display of your back screen in your viewfinder. That's what you can think of when you have never worked with a mirrorless camera now and just worked with a DSLR. So everything you have when you press, for example, the live view button on your Canon camera or even on your Nikon camera if you have a new Nikon, then you just see everything you see in the live view in your viewfinder. So you have the exposure simulation, so when you pull all your wheels you see that it gets brighter or darker. You have a digital zoom, so you can zoom in and then focus manually as if you were doing it on the back screen. Then when you take a photo you can actually see the photo in your viewfinder. That's great as well for bad light conditions when the sun comes from top or from behind and you don't see anything on the back screen. You can just watch the image in the viewfinder. You can set the menu in the viewfinder, so everything in this tiny thing. One of the most amazing features I would say on mirrorless cameras is the focus peaking, and you don't only have it on the back screen, you have it as well in the viewfinder. Focus peaking means you have like small lines around the thing that is sharp in the image. So when I focus manually and just pull the manual focus, then I see where the sharpness is, and it's shown in yellow lines, red lines, white lines. You can just set it in the camera, and that is perfectly for manual focus, especially manual focus with f1.4 anything, because you can see where the focus is. If it's on the eye, on the ear, on the nose, on the hair, wherever you want to focus. And even though the A7R II has a great autofocus and other cameras has a great autofocus as well, I focus manually with focus peaking since 3 years. With every lens, even with long tele lenses, even in wildlife situations. The only situation I don't focus manually is underwater, because I cannot pull the focus ring there. Well, that's the only reason. Another great advantage is when you want to shoot against light. So when the sun is setting and you want to take portrait shots or anything, or just landscape shots, it's so much easier to look in a digital viewfinder than looking in a DSLR viewfinder, because you will get blind from the sun because it's just reflecting in the mirror into your eye. But in a digital viewfinder you don't have any problems. As well, you can see over the focus peaking where the sharpness exactly is. Have you ever tried to shoot with a DSLR against the light when the sun is low, a portrait? It's so hard to focus because the focus always goes like zit, 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 zit. Crazy. With that thing, so easy. As well, one thing I did recognize, and I haven't recognized shooting DSLR, is that you only have the focus points in the middle of the camera. In a mirrorless camera you don't have that issue. You can put the focus point in the left-hand corner, in the right-hand bottom corner, it's no problem. You can put it like everywhere because it's digital. So yeah, it's the future, I would say. And one thing I forgot, they are much smaller. But small is not an issue for me. I like big cameras, I like smaller cameras. The A7R II is not that small, but the A6000, for example, compared to a 600D, which is almost same camera, 6000 is much greater, but is much bigger on the DSLR camera because of the mirror that you have to build somewhere in this case. So I would say mirrorless camera is the future and DSLRs won't exist much longer. Whew. Hard statement. Write your opinion in the comments below. Maybe you used a mirrorless camera already, or maybe you won't ever use a mirrorless camera because you say, oh no, battery life is so poor, and oh no, I have to sell all my lenses. 2 points on that. First of all, battery life, of course, is not that good with a mirrorless camera, because you have to imagine you have the live view on in your camera all the time, in your viewfinder and on the back screen. As well, you have like Wi-Fi and stuff. When you turn it off, battery life is much better, but you have so much technical stuff in this camera that you need just more batteries. But the batteries are smaller. And even they improved the batteries now with the A9. They build bigger batteries, so we can expect that in the future battery life will be better and improved as well. And I totally can work with 2 batteries a day only photographing with this camera, no problem. So what's the deal? Put 2 batteries in your backpack. And the point on changing all the lenses and changing the system, I got you. But the thing is, to stick on one brand only because you have some old lenses left, what's the deal with that? I don't say, oh, I stay with my car even though it's very shitty already, but I have nice rims on this car. So never mind, maybe it's a good point for you to just sell all your lenses and get rid of the lenses you haven't used anyway. So like moving to a new flat or something, just get rid of some stuff you don't need and just maybe get some new stuff as well. So give me your opinion on that, and don't get me wrong, I don't want you to buy a DSLR or anything. I don't care about that because I don't sell cameras. But if you want to buy a new camera, I would definitely not buy a DSLR in 2017. So see you next time. Never forget, sag mal Einstellung, Digga, und haut da rein.